Welcome to our video on winter solstice and Yule festivities and celebrations for 2019. Winter solstice or Yule occurs in the Northern Hemisphere on December 22nd of 2019. It's going to happen at 4:19 a.m. in the morning, early morning. That's Universal Time Coordinated. That would be on the 21st at 2200 hours or 10:19 p.m. for Central Standard Time. And it's going to be at 6:19 p.m. if you're in Hawaii Standard Time Zone. So again, the 21st if you're more on the mainland, and for Universal Coordinated Time or Universal Time Coordinated or Greenwich Mean Time, since daylight savings is stopped in London, that'll be like for GMT, it'll be on the 22nd. Okay. So now you can get your festivities all ready. Now, the Wiccan festivity of Yule begins at the same time as the winter solstice. And although the Yule celebrations will begin at the winter solstice, but it'll end 12 days later on January 2nd of 2020. Now, on winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, the sun is located below the horizon, and that's if you're viewing it from the North Pole, where Santa Claus has his elf workshop. So that's if it appears to sink below the horizon for 3 days. Now the sun will position itself in that way for 3 days, and then it will begin to rise again, up above Santa's elf's workshop on the North Pole on the 24th or 25th. If you're using Greenwich Mean Time, it would be on the 25th. If you're using like Central Standard Time, or Eastern Standard Time, it would be on the 24th. So you see how this all came about. Rising from the dead, the sun rising from the dead, and all of that. And these go, way back to ancient religions that would just sort of get refurbished for each generation that comes through. Now, in this way, the sun is said to be born again and to begin his ascent. Sounds familiar, right? When the days will slowly become longer and the nights will become shorter once again, giving birth to a brand new year. That's why we have old man, time. It's like, and then you have the newborn baby for the new year. These are, old rituals. Now, therefore, pagan Yule festivities encompass and celebrate winter solstice, Christmas, and New Year's Day. This all happens. These are all the same festivities. So again, we have more in common than you think. The different religions have more in common than they have separate from each other. So there's really no need to argue, because there's much more that we have in common. Now, the winter solstice isn't exactly on the same day every single year, but it's around that time, 21st, 22nd, around that time. I'm Pastor Rosemary, the Astrology Angel. I'm a Rosicrucian seer, biblical astrologer, Christian psychic, and Gnostic mystic, and this is a Readings by Rosemary angelic transmission. Our disclaimer here first: high magic should be used with all mindfulness, since powerful forces of manifestation are unleashed. This is intended exclusively for entertainment purposes. Now, pagans holidays and Christian holidays alike, pagans and Christians both celebrate the birth of the sun god, from the womb of the divine solar mother goddess, be she the Blessed Mother Mary, the solar goddess Aphrodite, or the sun goddess Su. Now, the celebration of Yule begins on day 1 with the winter solstice, which is the year's shortest day, and it's the longest night. So that's day 1 of Yule celebration. And again, that's the shortest day and the longest night. That's what the winter solstice is. The 12 days of Christmas are also celebrated around this time. You've heard of the songs about the 12 days of Christmas that you hear when you're a kid, right? Now, these Christian festivities and celebrations and festivals originated with the ancient pagan 12-day festival of Yule, which continues to be celebrated by Wiccans, pagans, and neo-pagans. Yule logs, glittering Christmas trees, and gift-giving all had their origins in the pagan rituals of Yule. Now, the Christian holiday celebrating the birth of Christ owes a large debt to astrologers who found the Christ child, the baby Jesus. And this was through following the guidance of three very well-known astrologers, or you could call them astrologists, or you could call them astronomers, called Magi, who were ancient Medes from Persia. In the ancient world, priests and scientists were not separate vocations at all. They were one in the same, a priest-scientist, like in Atlantis. Yeah? Originally, the priest-scientists did flourish in the ancient antediluvian world of Atlantis, from whence the Atlantean and later the Egyptian god Thoth originated. So it's Thoth of Atlantis, and then he became Thoth of Egypt, which is the god, the scribe of the gods, and who is thought, and invented so many of our modern sciences that have to do with a lot of, thinking. It's associated with Mercury and communication, transportation, that kind of thing, and thinking. All right, and thought, obviously. Now, the word magi comes from the word magic in English, or it's also called magos in Greek. These are these three magi were three hereditary magi, and they were priests of Zoroaster, and they were priests of Zoroaster as far as the Greeks were concerned. So if you ask the Greek who the three wise men were, they'd say they were three magi. The three magi, they would say they were three priests of Zoroaster, not from Zoroaster, it's from Persia, but of Zoroaster, the Zoroastrian religion. That was the first religion that had monotheism. It was Zoroaster. Zoroaster was the first religion that introduced monotheism, and then after that, the Hebrew religion, which used to have a lot of gods and goddesses, picked up that from them, the one God from Zoroaster, and then later Christians, and on it went. Okay, now this was the religion of these three wise men, or three priests of Zoroaster, was named Zarathustra to the Medes from Persia. So those are the different ways they would talk about it. Now, the god they followed was called Wise God, or Ahura Mazda. Ahura Mazda. And that is, you often see him with, sitting sort of profile with the hat and the beard and the wings. It's a very famous sort of painting that has gone into a lot of modern logos and things, and modern kind of popular culture. It was the responsibility of these three wise men, or wise magi, to search and watch the heavens and to seek out signs and to seek out important events for their Persian kings and queens. As divine providence would have it, the 12 days of Christmas are connected to the Gospel of Matthew, or St. Matthew, in chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. Matthew 2:11, the New Heart English Bible. And they came into the house and saw the young child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then, opening their treasures, they offered to him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The three magi were named Melchior, Caspar, and Balthazar. Some legends say that there was a fourth magi, and some legends say that he was called Artaban. And he was said to be another Mede from Persia. So again, the 12 days of Christmas, or the 12 days of Yule, the Yule celebration that started in pagans in the north, that is actually, you can find adherences to it, and these 12 days of Christmas, and they're connected to the Gospel of Matthew in chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. The 12 days of Christmas, that's Matthew chapter 2, 1 to 12. All right, in the future we'll go over that a little bit, but we don't have time for it in this video, but maybe in a future video. Yeah. All right, now on the winter solstice at 4:19 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated, when the Sun is in conjunction with Jupiter and trine Uranus, wealth and success is advanced through innovative approaches. Luna will be square Venus, sextile Jupiter, in opposition to Uranus, and trine Neptune, which makes emotional relationships complicated and tense, with strong conflicting unilateral desires for authority and novelty and other worldly expression. Now, with the moon in these relationships, expect unashamed demands that with double standards and unfairness to be applied to friendships and romances alike. So you can expect that, the double standard thing. Be aware that under these circumstances, one must resist and refuse to allow others to behave unjustly. So when these planetary aspects cause people to behave unjustly or throw on you a double standard, whether it's a friend or a romantic relationship or whatever, you have to understand that you must resist and refuse to allow them to be unjust towards you. You have to say, excuse me, that's not okay that you act unjustly towards me. That is unjust. It is unfair. Because if you make concessions at this time, such relationships will enslave and destroy those that are conquered. So if you don't want to be enslaved and conquered, do not give in. You must resist. You don't have to get violent. You don't have to get angry. Just say, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not interested. That's all you have to say, and calmly walk away. Either ignore or say, no, thank you. I'm not interested, and smile, and that's it. Don't have to get into it. All right? But just know that this is coming, so prepare yourself for it. Now, Mercury square Neptune will further chill and distance the mind. Also, Venus square Uranus is an aspect that seeks to cause upheavals in job security and also in love life and romance and also in friendships and associations and even in jobs and that kind of thing. So, but Mars sextile Saturn will attempt to force petty and unreasonable laws upon anyone seen as subjugated. So this is, again, there's a lot of things going on this month that if you don't want to be in a subordinate or subjugated or enslaved or conquered position, do not give in. Simply resist. No, thank you. I'm not interested. No, thank you. You don't have to fight. You just have to, no, thank you. Wander off. That's all you have to do. Now, Mars trine Neptune, and if you feel somebody else is being unreasonable, then you can speak to someone who's in an authority to get you some assistance. Okay? If you feel scared of something, of course you would want to call someone in authority that has a license to help you, a social worker or something like that. But this is going to, happen in such a way where it just will seem matter of fact. So you don't have to, if you don't get mad when they try to give you a double standard, just no thank you, and be mellow about it. And these things, these aspects are going to change. This is on this day, on the winter solstice. And as the month goes by and other months come through, it will change. So stay lighthearted and don't think that once they have this in their head that it's always going to stay that way. It will move and migrate, and there'll be times when maybe you'll be the one that was feeling that you're going to be unjust or be able to make it a fair situation. So remember, this is for this winter solstice, as we said, the 21st or 22nd, determined by your location, okay? So you don't have to think it's going to be like that forever. That helps you stay calm when you know some of these situations aren't going to be like that forever. Okay, so now, again, that Mars sextile Saturn will attempt to force small, petty, unreasonable laws on anyone seen as subjugated. Now, Mars trine Neptune grants passion to futuristic utopian ideations, with God of War sextile Pluto revealing the shadow and evil side of anyone who would become monarch by her or his own hand. Also, Jupiter trine Uranus is going to pump riches into the coffers of would-be revolutionaries who want to tear down anything reputable and anything traditional. Saturn conjunct Pluto will add even more evil intent to build up one-sided laws and regulations that do not work for all people nor for all creatures. All right. Now, we prepared a chart for you, and the chart that we prepared for you, it's for winter solstice and Yule festivals and celebrations, again, for the 21st or the 22nd, again, determined by your location. Provides plenty of pertinent information for people to begin making preparations at least a week early for celebrations, festivals, parties, sacred circles, and for rituals. The exact time of 2019's winter solstice and beginning of Yule is December 22nd at 4:19 a.m. That's Universal Time Coordinated, or it's the same as Greenwich Mean Time. There's not daylight savings because that's over already. But that would be on the 21st at 10:19 p.m. Central Standard Time and 6:19 p.m. on the 21st if you're in Hawaii Standard Time Zone. The astrology chart we've prepared is calculated from that precise time and includes hourly astrology house calculations. Also, we're including planetary aspects, stations, natural houses, and horoscope houses associated with planetary placements, as well as hourly houses, respectively. So not only we're going to talk about the natural horoscope houses that have to do with the sign, but also the hourly houses. Okay, so we're going to get into that for you now, and the chart that we have provided, we're also going to be going over some of the planetary aspects. But first, we're going to get into the specific. We're going to give you the planetary archangels, and we're going to give you the also the zodiac angel that goes with the sign. So the planet in a certain sign, we're going to give the angels, the archangels for both of the planetary and the zodiac angel. Okay, so the sun is going to be in Sagittarius on the winter solstice at 29 degrees 59 minutes in the second house, which is akin to the or similar to the sign of Taurus, of money and possession. So this is an hourly house. Okay, but Sagittarius is akin to the natural ninth house of life path meaning. Okay, and the Archer's divine tone is I perceive. The planetary archangel Michael will visit habitation zodiac angel Adnakhiel. So we're going to get the chart here for you now, so you can sort of see what we're talking about. And we're going to bring it in a little closer. When we get to the planetary aspects, we'll bring it in even closer for you so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, we can actually bring it in a little closer for you now. Yeah, there you go. You can see it. Now, so we have the sun here in the sign of Sagittarius, the Archer. All right, and again, the sun is the Archangel Michael, is a planetary archangel of the sun, the Archangel Michael. He's also presides over the fire signs. But Sagittarius is also a fire sign, so he's also an elemental archangel in that matter. And the zodiac angel is Adnakhiel for Sagittarius. And the Merkaba shape is this for fire. Merkaba, that's for the elemental fire, because Sagittarius is beautiful fire. Moving into the moon in Scorpio. We have the moon here, the crescent we have here in Scorpio. And moon in Scorpio at 8 degrees, 59 minutes in the 10th house, which is analogous to the sign of Pisces, of spirituality. Scorpio is similar to the natural 8th house of birth, sex, death, and debt. The Scorpion's divine tone is I create. Planetary archangel Gabriel visits the dwelling of zodiac angel Barchiel. So Gabriel is the planetary archangel of the moon. Okay, and for Barchiel is for Scorpio. Now, for water, which Gabriel also resides over the water signs, this is the Merkaba field for the water signs. Now, also we have Mercury on that day on the winter solstice. Mercury, and this is at that specific time. So this is not only for the day, it's for the hour. So some of these things that we're talking about, they might be very temporary, and like we said, the double standard and all that. So that's why I don't have to get real upset about it. It's not going to be forever. Mercury in Sagittarius here. Mercury in Sagittarius at 19 degrees 7 minutes in second house, which is akin to the sign of Taurus, of money and possessions. Sagittarius is analogous to the natural ninth house of life path meaning. The Archer's divine tone is I perceive. And the planetary archangel of Mercury is Raphael, visits abode of zodiac angel Adnakhiel of Sagittarius. All right. Now, and again, for Sagittarius, you would use, that's for the elemental, okay? And it's Adnakhiel for the sign itself. Venus, the planet Venus in Aquarius on the winter solstice at that specific time. Venus in Aquarius. At 2 degrees, 20 minutes in the third house, which is similar to the sign of Gemini of transportation and communication. And Aquarius is akin to the natural 11th house of friends and reputation. The water bearer's divine tone is I know. In the age of Pisces, it was I believe. So believing in Christ and all of that. What do you believe in? Do you believe in UFOs? Do you believe in this? Do you believe in that? Now we're in the age of Aquarius, it's I know. You either know it or you don't. It doesn't matter if you believe it. You either know it or you don't. Okay, so I know is for Aquarius. Planetary Archangel Anael, Venus visits habitation of Zodiac Angel Cambriel. Aquarius is the element of air. It's Aquarius is fixed air, and this is the Merkaba field for fixed air. For fixed air. The Merkaba field for fixed air. And Cambriel is a Zodiac Angel. Also we're going to, I have a new blog that Facebook released for me. I had it up for a while, and I worked on it for a while, and I was able to publish it and release it today, actually, and so that everybody could see it. So I'm going to be putting my astrology charts, the ones I do for the moon, the full and new moon, and also the ingresses, those things that I'm going to put those charts from those videos, and also from these videos for the specific day, for the solstices and equinoxes, that kind of thing. I'm going to put the astrology charts on, it's called Pastor Rosemary the Astrology Angel, and it's at the Astrology Angel. And then I'll put some astrology things on Readings by Rosemary Facebook, and then I'll be doing other things like my tarot cards and my runestones and other things like that, and I Ching, those kinds of but also some astrology, but the specifics, the charts, will go on Pastor Rosemary the Astrology Angel at the Astrology Angel on Facebook. And I'll put it in the description box, and I'll put each one, I'll label what it is so you can find what you're looking for. And I'll figure out where I should put what. I'm not sure if I can put videos on a blogger page yet, but I'm going to find out. I'm not sure, but I'm going to find out. All right. So we have then Mars in Scorpio. And we have the planet Mars in the sign of Scorpio to Scorpion at 21 degrees 47 minutes in the first house, which is analogous to the sign of Aries, of self and appearances. Scorpio is similar to the natural 8th house of birth, sex, death, and debt. And the Scorpion's divine tone, again, I create. Planetary Seraphim Samael visits dwelling of Zodiac Angel Barchiel. Barchiel is for Scorpio. Scorpio is fixed water, again, for water. The Merkaba field for, fixed water. Now, Jupiter in Capricorn on the winter solstice. At that time, we have Jupiter there in Capricorn at 4 degrees 24 minutes in second house, which is akin to the sign of Taurus, of money and possessions. Capricorn is analogous to the natural 10th house of social standing and fame. The goat's divine tone is I use. And planetary Archangel Sachiel, Jupiter, visits abode of Zodiac Angel Anael of Capricorn. Capricorn is an earth sign. It's cardinal earth, fire of earth. So this is like the Merkaba field for earth, like for the Archangel Uriel. It's a three-dimensional Star of David is what it looks like there. And it reminds me of some things, spaceships I saw in movies flying around too. Maybe that's what that is. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, now Saturn in Capricorn as well. A lot going on in Capricorn on that day. Saturn in Capricorn at 20 degrees 15 minutes in second house, which is similar to the sign of Taurus, of money and possessions. Capricorn is akin to the natural 10th house of social standing and fame. The goat's divine tone, I use. Planetary Archangel Cassiel of Saturn visits habitation of Zodiac Angel Anael. Anael, Earth Guardian Angel Uriel, and the Merkaba field for Earth for Uriel. Now the planet Uranus. The planet Uranus is going to be retrograde here in the sign of Taurus the Bull at 2 degrees 49 minutes in the 6th house, which is analogous to the sign of Virgo, the Virgin of Health and Habits. Taurus is similar to the natural 2nd house of money and possessions. The bull's divine tone is I have. Planetary Archangel Ariel with an A, A-U-R-I-E-L, for Uranus, visits dwelling of Zodiac Angel Asmodel. Asmodel is for Taurus. Taurus is fixed earth, again, Uriel, the earth Merkaba field. Mer means rotating fields of light, Ka means spirit, and Ba means soul. It's part of Kabbalah, but it's a very advanced portion of Kabbalah. The Merkaba field are very advanced. And I've taught some classes in it. I've read some good books. Gabriel Melchizedek's book on Merkaba is great. Those are two great volumes. Volumes 1 and 2 of Gabriel Melchizedek is a great introduction and everything you want to know about Merkaba. Really, he's, those are wonderful books I cherish very much. And I was fortunate enough, privileged enough to be able to go to one of his lectures when he was in Honolulu. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it. Okay, so Uranus and Taurus. We have the Archangel Ariel with an A, A-U-R-I-E-L, and Asphodel of Taurus. We have Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces. It's 16 degrees, 6 minutes in the 4th house, which is akin to the sign of Cancer, the crab of hearth, kitchen, home, and family. Pisces is analogous to the natural 12th house of spirituality. The fish's divine tone, I believe. Age of Pisces, belief in Christ. Planetary Archangel Asariel visits abode of Zodiac Angel Adnakhiel. Adnakhiel for Pisces. Pisces is mutable water. Fish. Sometimes they seem like they come and they go. They come back, they come. That's because they're fish. They're mutable. Mutable signs tend to come and go a little bit more. Mutable signs are Sagittarius for fire, Pisces for water, for air it's Gemini, and for earth it's Virgo. Those are the mutable signs. And we have here the Merkaba field for water. Gabriel is for all the water signs, the elemental archangel. Now we're going to now look at Pluto, the planet Pluto in Capricorn. Again, a lot going on in Capricorn on this day. At 22 degrees, 4 minutes in the 2nd house, which is similar to the sign of Taurus, of money and possessions. Capricorn is again in the natural 10th house of social standing and fame. The goat's divine tone is I use, or utilize, to utilize, utilization, users, user-friendly, that kind of thing. Planetary Archangel Azrael visits habitation of Zodiac Angel Anael. Anael, again, is the Zodiac Angel for Capricorn, and Capricorn is, again, the Earth sign, the Merkaba field for Capricorn for Uriel and the Earth signs, the elemental archangel. Now for the North Node, which is retrograde in the sign of Cancer, the crab, at 8 degrees, 45 minutes in the 8th house, which is analogous to the sign of Scorpio, birth, sex, death, and debt. All the heavy things in life, the intense things, the visceral things, the milestones of life, the real bodily milestones and social milestones of life. Now, Cancer the crab is similar to the natural 4th house of hearth, kitchen, home, and family, and the crab's divine tone is I feel. Planetary Archangel Gabriel, here, again, planetary archangel of the moon, because it's a north node of north and south nodes of the moon. Okay, planetary archangel Gabriel rules over Luna, and Zodiac Angel Muriel presides over the sign of Cancer, the crab. The moon rules over the sign of Cancer, the crab, as well. Now, in this retrograde station, there's often sort of nostalgic, unresolved feelings, which might need to be sort of revisited and re-looked at for further healing in some of these areas. Now, Cancer the crab is a nurturing sign, so make sure to nurture those qualities within yourself that you wish to cultivate for health and for happiness, while ignoring attributes in yourself that do not give you what you truly want in life. Now, it's important to go over, the North Node because with each of these daily things, because while the North Node and South Node may be in Cancer and Capricorn respectively, the North in Cancer and the South in Capricorn at this time, they change every so many months, but the hourly one is different for each of these videos, so that's why it's very important. And these have to do with your present life and your past life. Past lives for the southern node of the moon, and the present incarnation is your north node, or the true node. We call it true node, or the north node is for your present life, your present incarnation. All right, now Kabbalists, like Dr. Michael Lightman, they say that, and this is a very good way to look at it too. If like some people believe in reincarnation, some don't, but Kabbalists do believe in reincarnation, and you can go through it physically. You can, but it's not so conscious. But they had mentioned also, the Kabbalists had mentioned that you can also go through these lifetimes in stages in one lifetime in one body. Just merely when you raise your when you climb up the ladder in Kabbalah, up the steps, 125 steps. When you climb up the ladder towards the light, as you get to new stages, that's even in one body, it can be considered another lifetime, a reincarnation. Or people that aren't so conscious of what they're doing will unconsciously go into another body, and it might have a wisp of a memory, of a past life. They'll be conscious in their body, but meaning they won't remember their past life if it's in different physical bodies. So that's the way the Kabbalists explain it. It's very similar to Hinduism, or I'm not sure if Buddhism teaches the same thing. I think they might. Now, regarding the hourly astrology house calculations, we chose 4:19 hours, or it's 4:19 a.m. in Universal Time Coordinated for our hourly house calculations on December 22nd, 2019. Hourly house calculations this month. It reveals at this time, on this day, at this specific time, this specific hour, reveals eighth house qualities of birth, sex, death, and debt. All right, and that is akin to the sign of Scorpio, fixed water. The Scorpio to Scorpion for the North Node, the hourly. Okay, this places the South Node in the second house, which with attributes analogous to the sign of Taurus the Bull, or fixed earth of money and possessions. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing that on this day, that the things that you're going to be focused on are going to have to do with very specific things of the North Node being birth, sex, death, and debt. Very visceral, important Scorpio kind of, those Scorpion kind of things. They're very important, intense things. Now, the South Node, the things in the past, although this isn't past life and all that so much, but, well, it is actually. It is about present life, North Node, and past life for the South Node. But what it's about it's just for this time period, which changes every hour. Now, the general one for the month is remaining in Cancer and in Capricorn, but this is the hourly. So it's kind of wheels within wheels, like a Merkaba field, or the Mayan calendar. It's wheels turning within wheels, or even in the astrology chart, the house is turning around the signs. It's wheels within wheels. So it is actually, in this hour, it would be specific to, on this day, at this time, it would be that another thing you'd be focused on is those visceral things that are in your current life happening now, the birth, sex, death, and debt, but in having to do with also what was in your past, and that would have to do with what you had in past lives, and that would have to do with the money and the possessions that you had in actual past lives. Or if we're taking the other approach, if it's somebody who's more conscious, who is now having all of their reincarnations in one body, another stage, or past stages you were in, and the stage you're in now. As you're going up the 125 steps, they talk about that the Kabbalist, Dr. Michael Lightman talks about. That's one way to put it. You can also talk about, Rosicrucians talk about climbing up the Kabbalah with the, climbing, going up the Sephira, and different ways to go up and through the paths. And they'll talk about that, but just to make it specific. All right, so it's going to be about having money to get these things, these important things done. Money to pay off debts or to invest, money to have children, money to put into, to make sure people stay healthy, and if they do pass on, how their remains are going to be handled, and also having to do with sexual competition and getting married and having offspring, that kind of thing. All right. Now, the monthly Zodiac Natural Horoscope House calculations. When referring to this month's placements of North and South Node, that of being the North Node in Cancer and the South Node in Capricorn, and they're both, North Node retrograde, South Node retrograde, North Node retrograde in Cancer, South Node retrograde in Capricorn. It becomes important for individuals to attempt to put more emphasis on practical usage of their own feelings or the feelings of others for purposes of socioeconomic climbing up the ladder of success towards fame and notoriety and popularity and being famous and well known. Now, career is analogous to the natural fourth house of hearth, home, and family, and while Capricorn is similar to the natural 10th house of social standing and fame or popularity. Now, and status, So the South Node placement is in the sign of Capricorn, the goat whose divine tone is I use. So you have Cancer, I feel North Node in the present, and I use in the South Node past lives, past stages. The North Node being Cancer, the crab, again, I feel, and that's going to represent, again, the North Node, this life, this incarnation, this stage you're in now. South Node corresponds to one's past incarnations in other bodies or in other stages. If you were in this body, if you're more enlightened, another stage that you were in the past. And with the sign of Capricorn being the placement, it becomes more evident and more obvious when we consider the divine tone of Capricorn, which is I use. So going from using things to feeling, but that doesn't mean that using things is bad. It just gives you the comprehension that you're taking into account how you feel, how other people feel, and you go, because it's every sign has a divine tone, as the Rosicrucians teach. I am, and I have, I think, I feel, I will, I analyze, we balance, Libra, we balance, and Scorpio, I create, and I perceive, I use or utilize for Capricorn, and Aquarius is I know, Pisces is I believe. So those are the divine tones which come into play. Now, the astrological formula for a Capricorn, the goat, South Node, past life with the divine tone of I use, and Cancer, the crab, North Node, present incarnation with the divine tone of I feel, is that a person who knows how to utilize people and creatures, both flora and fauna, for either personal or organizational gain, begin to again understand and sympathize with others when considering their relationships between self, which is the monad, like a circle. It's similar to this, a circle in the center, and monad, not self. It's all really the same thing. We consider that I'm me and you're you, this is self and this is not self. Actually, we're all self. But the monad is about that self and not self. And a really good book, this is my favorite book on Kabbalah, and where I learn a lot of this stuff. She teaches in here that God is pressure, something that Dion Fortune teaches. God is pressure. And this is, again, my favorite book, and this monad, explanations about it and the teachings of Kabbalah. And she spells it with a Q. Some people spell it with a C, some with a K. Remember that K, it's kind of a glyph or a sigil for, it's killing. If you have a line with an arrow going into it, it's like K, it's for killing. They'll take a C and make it into a K, and that makes it more intense. And they do movies like that because it, makes it more intense because it means killing. A C is softer and a Q is softer still. They have different meanings because all letters are sigils, and magic and spelling. It casts a spell. All writing is a spell, and all writing is a graven image. All writing is a graven image. Every letter is a graven image, a sigil. Now, the authoress again of this book is Dion Fortune, and she wrote this book, The Mystical Kabbalah, and it was published first in England in 1935, and it was reprinted by Samuel Weiser Incorporated in 1984. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the planetary aspects for this astrology chart. The sun, we're going to go over the sun first here. Sun in Sagittarius. Sun in Sagittarius is going to be conjunct Jupiter in Sagittarius as well. So Sun and Jupiter, they're going to both be conjunct at this time on this day. Now the Sun trine Uranus. Sun trine Uranus. On a blue line, Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So the Sun in Sagittarius trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus, and Jupiter is sort of right on the cusp there. Okay, now the moon square Venus. So we have the moon in Scorpio square Venus on the red line in Aquarius, and we have the moon sextile Jupiter on the green line, sextile Jupiter right there in Capricorn. Okay, and we have moon opposing Uranus, the moon in Scorpio opposing on the dark red line Uranus retrograde in the sign of Taurus, the bull. We also have the moon trine Neptune, the moon in Scorpio, trine on the blue line Neptune in Pisces, the fish. We have Mercury square Neptune, Mercury here in Sagittarius on the red line square Neptune in the sign of Pisces, the fish. We have Venus square the moon, Venus in Aquarius on the red line square the moon in Scorpio. Venus square Uranus, Venus in Aquarius here on the red line is going to be square Uranus retrograde in Capricorn. So Venus square Uranus retrograde in Capricorn, and that's on the red line there. Again, I'm going to have these up on the new Facebook special blog, Pastor Rosemary, the Astrology Angel, at the Astrology Angel on Facebook. I'll have it in the description box so you can see them up close. And I'll have the ones from the other video there as well. Okay, now we have also Mars. Mars sextile Saturn. Mars in Scorpio on the green line sextile Saturn in Capricorn. Mars trine Neptune. Mars in Scorpio on the blue line trine Neptune in Pisces, and Mars sextile Pluto. Mars here, Mars in Scorpio on the green line sextile Pluto in Capricorn. We also have Jupiter conjunct the Sun. So Jupiter and the Sun are in the same house. They don't always have to be in the same sign to be in the same house. Okay, so Jupiter conjunct the Sun, and they're not necessarily in the same sign, but in the same house, kind of right up next to each other. And we have Jupiter sextile the Moon on the green line. Jupiter in Capricorn sextile on the green line the Moon in Scorpio. Okay, and we have Jupiter trine Uranus. We have Jupiter here in Capricorn on the blue line trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus the bull. All right, so that's Jupiter trine Uranus. And we have also Saturn sextile Mars. Saturn in Capricorn on the green line sextile Mars in Scorpio. We have Saturn conjunct Pluto in the same house here. And we also have Uranus trine the Sun. So Uranus retrograde in Taurus on the blue line trine the Sun in Sagittarius, the Archer. We have Uranus opposing the Moon. We have Uranus retrograde in Taurus on the dark red line opposing the Moon in Scorpio. Uranus square Venus. Uranus retrograde in Taurus is going to be on the red line square Venus. Venus is direct at this time in Aquarius. And also Uranus trine Jupiter. So Uranus retrograde in Taurus trine Jupiter on the blue line in Capricorn. We have Neptune trine the Moon. So Neptune here in Pisces on the blue line trine the Moon in Scorpio. Neptune here in Pisces is going to, on the red line, be square with Mercury. Mercury in Sagittarius, okay? And then we're going to have Neptune trine Mars. So Neptune here in Pisces on the blue line trine Mars in Scorpio. And we also, Pluto is going to be, here in Capricorn, is going to be on the green line, is going to be sextile with Mars in Scorpio. And Pluto will be conjunct Saturn in the same house, okay, as well. Pluto conjunct Saturn. Now, regarding the progression of the equinoxes, seasonal considerations must be taken into account. And due to environmental conditions as well as changes in cultural traditions of the application of doctrine to astrology and astronomy brought on by both secular and religious upheaval. So there's a lot about this you can learn about. Please refer to the references in a work entitled The Picatrix. It's just called Picatrix. Just Picatrix. Picatrix, a medieval treatise on astral magic, magic and history, translated by Dan Anael and David Poreka. Now, therefore, current Western astrological calculations and Earth-centric systems are just as accurate and viable as solar-centric systems. Having charts done in Western, Vedic, Chinese, and Chinese astrology gives several aspects of God's great clock, because astrology is just like a watch. If you use a watch or a clock, it's the same thing as using astrology. It's just a clock. It's the way human beings divide up and look at nature. We do it with all of our science. It's the way we look at everything. We make machines and we make things, and we say we're trying to understand nature. We're trying to, pigeonhole it. In reality, it's all a very great process, and it's just something that we're looking through our little binoculars, our little goggles, But that's not necessarily as grand or as great as big as it actually really is. It's just the way we relate to it. So again, there's nothing wrong with astrology. It's simply like if you use a watch, then same thing as using astrology. Just astrology gives you more information, that's all. It doesn't tell you can't do something. It tells you the conditions. So that you know if it's raining, you bring an umbrella. That's all. All right, now, information found in this document is based on the oral tradition known as Kabbalah, taught to me by Rosicrucian clergy when I was but a young girl, the facts of which I've committed to memory. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again.